Hi again then guys, and so we've got another GranTurismo 6 circuit setup for you today, and this time we're going back up to the 700 pp level with the not necessarily as widely utilised Jaguar XJR-9, one of the relatively few premium Le Mans prototypes and one of my personal favourites actually. Now I've gone for racing soft tyres. Obviously everyone has their own personal preference and they're very vocal about it. As far as brakes, I've increased the rear balance to 6, reduced the front to 4, just to bring it to more of a straightened and controlled stop. If you do choose to copy that though, you do need to be wary of those rear brakes locking up. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height on 60, front and rear, springs on 1650 and 1825, the dampers to 4 all round, anti-roll to 3, camber and toe neutral. We'll come back to the gearbox in a second. For the diff, I've gone for halfway on the initial torque to stiffen up the steering a bit out of corners. For acceleration sensitivity, we've got 40, which kind of counteracts that, but in a different way with the steering to keep it loose. You don't want it too stiff with the initial torque. And the braking, we've got relatively low so that you can keep the car under control and, again, straight and true under braking. As far as the power, we do have an oil change, and then we've gone for the high RPM turbo and reduced the power down to 93.2%. We've left its 6 kilo weight advantage alone over the other prototypes, or most of the other prototypes, and we've got the maximum downforce. Now as far as the gearbox, I've gone for an auto setting of 249, then for the individual gears we've got 3.1, 1850, 1275, 950 and 750 with a final drive of 3. So now let's take it out to the Le Mans to see what it can do. Now overall the XJR-9 is definitely in its best element on higher speed tracks. The handling is naturally heavier and more kind of dull than many of the other more modern prototypes, being as it is one of the oldest prototypes of the Le Mans class in the game. Now as far as on this track, it can run the Le Mans, the new circuit with the chicanes and with the maximum downforce setting in around 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Now that's with me driving. There are plenty of people who are quicker than me, so it is a highly competitive model. As far as its straight line performance, even with that full downforce setting, it can still do over 240 on the straights of this track. And that's with the chicanes as well. So if you lower that, you could easily get it over 250. This is not a draft tune. It's designed for speed under its own power, so you will top out at probably around 260, 270 in draft. As far as the handling, I've engineered it to be more of an endurance-biased machine, so relatively easy for the driver. It's not necessarily as pin-sharp as some of the other prototypes through the corners, but it's also less taxing to drive, so that you'll be as fresh driving it on lap 100 as you are on lap 1. And that is very important for an endurance race car, that the handling isn't too taxing, because you can get tired. Even though it is a game, you can get mentally tired of focusing 100% lap after lap. As far as what tracks to use it on, well, I'd recommend high-speed tracks. So Le Mans, potentially the Nürburgring, but not so much with this one. Monza, definitely. Mategi, perhaps. Tracks like that, which require more top-end performance. And overall, if you decide to use this build for the XJR-9, obviously I hope you find it fun and competitive. And if you're new to the channel and would like to keep up with builds like this as soon as they're released, be sure to hit subscribe down below. And as always, thanks for watching.